River City Players 2025 is here. River City Players is in its 42nd season this year and continues to showcase talented performers who dance and sing to a combination of popular music, Broadway hits, gospel, and everything in between. This year, the 2025 River City Players will present 2 shows, Country Gold and Platinum Rock. And these are bound to be shows you will not want to miss. The season will open June 26, 2025, and tickets are already available for group booking. So bring your friends, your family, your church, your organizations, or maybe even grab that random cute stranger from off the street for a fun-packed night at the NSU Playhouse. Plus, NSU students get in for free! And NSU faculty and staff get in at a discounted price, making their ticket only $12. Call the box office at 918-444-4505 for more information, or visit nsuplayhouse.ludus.com to book your tickets now. Again, that's nsuplayhouse.ludus.com. See you at the box office. Hello, welcome to Hawk Talk, TNE's podcast. I am sitting down today with Aubrey Cagle Wagoner Jr. and Stetson Dilbeck, Roland Jr., who are here to discuss L.E.A.D.S, a leadership class which is offered every semester at NSU. Thank you both for taking the time to sit with me, and let's find out a little bit more about L.E.A.D.S. My first question will be, how are you both involved in L.E.A.D.S? So what are your current roles, and how did you get into these roles?
So I'll start. So we are both the student assistants is our technical title, but really we're just the instructor of L.E.A.D.S. And so it's completely student-led. And so we teach the courses, we do all of the sessions, we make the presentations, do the activities, and just kind of facilitate it, all of our sessions. And then I got involved in L.E.A.D.S just because I went through it myself first. Michelle Taylor, who's my best friend, was teaching it at the time, and she was like, come sign up. And I was like, okay, whatever you say. So I signed up and I ended up really falling in love with it. What she was able to do for so many others, I wanted to be able to do the same.
And did you do that as a freshman, a sophomore, and you've just been doing it since then?
So my first one was my first semester freshman year. I started level 1, and then we went on to level 2. And then the spring of my sophomore year was when I started instructing.
All right. What about you, Stetson?
Same kind of story. Michelle also got me into this. Again, I took it as well because I really wanted to be a leader and kind of hone my skills a little bit more.
So you said your current role is a student assistant?
Yes.
And it's completely student-led?
Yeah, so our advisor is Katie Cochran. We always report to her. We have meetings before we start the classes and just go over all the content. All the content that we teach has kind of been pre-made. It's all based off of the social change model. And so we just always go in and update it as needed, kind of rework it if we found something didn't work the semester before, add new activities if we feel like it. But we always get those approved through her, but then we lead all the classes and facilitate everything when it comes to the actual sessions.
Do you know how L.E.A.D.S originally got started? Was it something that Katie Cochran was like, this would be a great idea, and just grabbed some students to get it started? Or did the students say, hey, we would like to have more of a leadership class to help us learn how to be better leaders? Do you know?
I don't. I have no clue. I do know it used to be that graduate students taught the class, but since we've transitioned to having undergraduate leaders now teach the class.
Okay, can you guys describe what L.E.A.D.S is? Like, how long do these classes take? How many levels are there? What each level entails? And maybe even what L.E.A.D.S is abbreviated for?
So L.E.A.D stands for Leadership, Education, Advocacy, and Diversity and Skills. And so it's kind of just an all-encompassing thing of leadership. Like I mentioned, we base it off the social change model, which is just one model of leadership. But the social change model is kind of separated into 3 categories, and that's how we base our course. So it is in 3 levels that students can take. So we start off on level 1 with individual values. We talk about individual values, being committed to those individual values and helping students kind of find themselves, what matters to them, what they want to exhibit. And then as they move into level 2, we talk about group values and how they can kind of be honest to their values and coming together, collaborating as a group, dealing with any controversy, things like that. And then our final level is about community and citizenship. And so that's kind of our big one, about taking the things you've learned through levels 1 and 2 and being able to implement that to enact change. And so these classes are just an hour. We typically, I know we're kind of in the process of like changing things up a little bit to see what works better. But as of now, what we have been doing is that it's over the course of 3 weeks. It's one day for 1 hour over those 3 weeks. So it's like Monday at 1 o'clock, you come in for 3 weeks, you do the courses. We have a little, we call them leadership experiences, which is just kind of like a final project based off what you learned in the class. And then once you complete that, you've completed the course. And so we try to alternate the times throughout the semester, obviously based on our schedules, but also what will work best for students. And actually this semester was really different. We decided to offer all of them back to back. So that way students were able to complete, if they had the time, they were able to complete all 3 levels in one semester. And typically it takes students 3 semesters to do that because we offer them at such different times. But we were able to do that. We had a lot of success with it. And so we're looking definitely when we come back in the fall to see how we can, if we can still implement that, if that was great, how we can kind of tweak it to best be able to help students.
Do you normally teach like the first level, the second level, or third level? Is there like a rhyme or reason to like why you might teach the first level and why someone else might teach the third level?
Yeah, so I, when I first started, I taught level 1. And then since I've been here, I've moved up to levels 2 and 3. We just kind of choose what we want to do. And I'll let Stetson talk about level 1 here in a second. But for level 2 and 3, to me, that's like where I really shine and where I really feel like I can connect and help people, specifically with those like group values and engaging in those community, because that's what's important to me. And that's what I feel is kind of a big show of leadership, is how you interact with the community around you and what you're doing within group settings. And so it just kind of really appealed to me. And so it's just kind of my favorite section to teach. That's just kind of why I teach it.
And Stetson, what about you?
I like level 1 because it's kind of like the introduction. So it's kind of the first impression that they get of the overall course. So I like to kind of be that welcoming face to help them become leaders and stick with it, because level 2 and level 3 are great. And I really want them to move on to that. Again, that's why I choose level 1. It's because 1, this is my first semester teaching this. 2nd, it's a really good opportunity to kind of make those connections early.
All right, what has been the most fun or rewarding part of being involved in L.E.A.D.S for you?
I would say probably the most rewarding part of L.E.A.D.S is seeing the people who have gone through it take on leadership positions in their organizations on campus. I think there's a lot more that you learn from it as well. We have some people who had trouble with public speaking and they are a lot more confident in speaking in it now.
What about you, Aubrey?
Kind of the same thing. Any sort of like leadership position I'm in, the always kind of most exciting and rewarding part of it for me is just seeing how the people I'm teaching, the people I'm leading, how they grow throughout this process. And so being able to see students come in and one, be really engaged and willing to hone in their leadership skills and work on that is really rewarding. But then also to kind of see the effects of it, especially we had a lot of freshmen come in this year. And so being able to see how these classes help them and being able to see the leadership positions they get afterwards and kind of how they act in those leadership positions and just the things that they're able to accomplish and how you can kind of just see the confidence come from taking the classes. You can kind of see it grow within them of how maybe when they first got here, they weren't really sure or kind of nervous, and how they've really kind of grown into their own through going through L.E.A.D.S.
Okay, so why did you guys decide to become a L.E.A.D.S instructor?
I think the main reason why I became a L.E.A.D.S instructor is I feel that one of like the most important parts of being a leader, where you actually start retaining that information that you got, is by being a teacher. I feel like that's kind of the final step of being a leader, is being able to educate other people with what you know and also be able to take in what they know and help them with that.
Kind of along the same vein is it's just, I do think it's important as a leader to be able to pass down what you've learned. And so like what we teach in L.E.A.D.S is kind of just like, we always say it's just the foundation, and that we allow people to kind of build upon their own things. And there are things that I've learned in various leadership positions that aren't necessarily part of the model, but that I can offer as advice and say like, this situation happened to me. This is kind of how I utilize this part of the model to be able to do it. And so just kind of being able to integrate my own experiences and like seeing how that can really help people, because a lot of our material is kind of like higher academia sometimes. And it's a lot of like definitions, and like one of the big things was like controversy with civility. Every time I teach that, people are like, what does that, like, it sounds like a big word, like, but it's the essential basis of it is you want to try to not have so much conflict and instead kind of work through dialogue. And so any issues you're working with, you always want to be civil and kind of have an open dialogue as opposed to like having a debate or taking a vote. But there are some situations where like you do need to have a debate, or that's just the functioning of the group. And so being able to kind of integrate that and say, this is just a foundation, this is what I've learned, and seeing how students can be able to utilize that information is really rewarding. And it's really nice to see that like those types of leaders who did that to me me and taught me that way had such a big impact on how I became a leader and like my experience. And so being able to offer that same thing to other students is just really rewarding and just kind of makes it all worth it.
Especially when you can see them bringing it into their day-to-day. And like you said, like, you know, watching them in their different organizations, whether it be, you know, the members of TEAC or the members of NSGA, like really just blossoming and using these skills in a healthy way that is impacting and helping others and just helping them become better leaders whenever, you know, they move up and we go off and graduate, you know, seeing what they do with the skills that we were able to provide them with. So yes, that's a very rewarding thing. All right. So how does taking a LEADS class benefit students?
LEADS, we present it as a leadership certificate program. And I know that can be kind of daunting to students, but the biggest benefit is that even if you're not pursuing leadership positions on campus, even if you're not really all that involved, you can still take what we teach and use it in your personal life. Like in level 1, we teach about having your core values, what matters to you, like honesty, respect, humility, being kind. Like, are those things that are important to you? And if so, you kind of need to be able to live through that and be honest. Like if you're preaching being honest, you need to be honest. And so just being congruent with those beliefs and understanding that like the things you say, you also have to do at the same time. It not only offers a benefit for students coming in, going into leadership positions to have a good foundation, a good understanding of just operating in leadership positions and how that may work, but also just as individuals, how they can better themselves. We always talk about self-assessment and going back and looking, okay, we did this thing. Is this working? Do we need to change it? And that also works both in an organization setting and individually. It's like, I did this thing. Did I like it? Is that okay? And so just kind of offering those skills both on a professional and a personal level can really offer a huge benefit to students.
How do you take what you've learned in the LEADS class and implement it in your own organizations or leadership roles across campus?
I will say that for me, just personally, I've always believed that kind of like physical service and like volunteer service are really important to who I am as a person. And I think being a part of a community, you should always give back to your community. I mean, I was a Girl Scout. You always got to leave the world better than you found it. And so just kind of having that attitude is something personal to me, that going through LEADS and kind of understanding how to build that from the ground up. Because usually when I came into these positions in my own life, it's like, this is already established and I'm joining. Whereas with some things, it's like, we have to start at ground zero. How do I do that? And so especially in levels 2 and 3, which are again my favorite, they really talk about establishing trust within a group, the importance of like group diversity and difference of opinions and having dialogue about those opinions, and that sometimes people aren't just going to agree with what you want to do, and that's okay, and you need to talk through that. I'm going into my organizations, especially next year, and really pushing for a physical presence and being really involved with our communities physically and being physically present and aware of what we're doing, because I feel like with some organizations, sometimes just the nature of them is more behind the scenes. And so it's kind of easy to just get caught up in doing that, but understanding that we can do multiple types of work within our community to really be able to improve it as a whole and make positive social change.
I'd say that like kind of level 1, it's kind of all about who you are. I think applying that to like my organization, for example, is being conscious of yourself, of like why you make the decisions, why other people make the decisions that they do, is a very big part of making sure your organization actually functions. I think understanding like what makes them tick, what makes you tick, you guys can find common ground to where, you know, if you have conflict, you're able to talk it out, kind of what we talk about in the later sessions. So I do really think that like applying like what you learn, even though it may seem simple, it's kind of a humbling experience. I would encourage them, if they are interested in taking any type of leadership position. My freshman year, I had no desire to be in any type of leadership position, and I ended up taking it after Michelle was talking about it a lot, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it. And I mean, with that, feeling more confident taking on leadership positions, I was able to help out my organization, join other organizations on campus, volunteer for more things. So it's a really good way for just yourself to make sure you feel more confident in taking on those leadership positions, whether it's at your job, whether it's in your organization, or just in life.
Yeah, I would agree. And just kind of like I mentioned before, there's kind of both a professional and personal benefit in taking the classes. For one, they're free. You don't have to pay. And it's like very short time frame. You don't have to sit through like hours upon hours like other leadership leadership certificates have you do. But I think even for students, what I found the most is students being like, well, I'm not really in any orgs. I don't want to do leadership. Why would this benefit me? Like I said, it has a great personal benefit, I feel, but then also it can help you at your future job. Being able to have like conflict resolution skills and understanding what goes into making a decision, how to best collaborate with people, how can you build trust, you know? I mean, if you're a manager at a store, you need to understand how you can get everybody working together and understanding and collaborating with one another to really build an effective team that trusts you and you trust them. And so I think these are skills that people can take well into their future and be able to utilize. Plus, you can put it on your resume. So, you know, the job hiring field, it's a little tough sometimes, but being able to say that you've been through a leadership certificate course and you have all these skills already, I think is a really benefit to students.
Yeah, and you might as well take advantage of it, especially if it's going to help you personally and professionally be able to learn more about yourself and grow as an individual, and then help you take those skills out into the real world. Okay, so if you guys could give one piece of advice to students who want to become leaders, what would that be?
In level 2, I talk about how leadership is a process and not a position. And that is my biggest piece of advice, because I felt that way many times going into leadership positions, of that kind of anxiety and worry of like, what if I mess up? What if I do something wrong? What if something happens? And like, that's my name on the line. This is my organization on the line. And I think it can be daunting for people who want to apply, but kind of there's that little like final step you have to make and that final push you have to give yourself to understand that mistakes are how you learn, period. Like that is how you learn, and that is how you grow, and that is how an organization grows. And so even though they can be a little stressful, a little anxiety inducing, my biggest piece of advice is to just go for it and to just understand that every single thing, every single day is a process. It's a learning opportunity. I always say that like when you make a mistake, it's not about dealing with the consequences. It's about learning from it. Many people will make a mistake and be afraid of the consequences, but the consequences are how you learn. Don't be afraid. Just take that leap. And I promise you're going to get a massive amount of benefit from it. And even if it doesn't necessarily go your way, you still have that practice. You still have those skills that you can take elsewhere.
Do you have any advice for the students, Stetson?
Like what you said is take that first step. I think really a big thing is people have the mindset that a leader has to have all the answers and has to be perfect already. I think the strongest leaders are the ones who are constantly learning. And whenever you accept that I don't know everything, but I want to figure it out for you and for myself, that's what makes you become a better leader. So learning these core values, going back to basics can help you be a stronger leader, even if you already have some experience in leadership.
Okay, Aubrey and Stetson, it was great talking with you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. The next L.E.A.D.S class will be available next semester. L.E.A.D.S is offered every semester and is free to NSU students. For more information or to figure out when the next L.E.A.D.S class will be held, you can follow them on their Instagram at NSU L.E.A.D S. Thanks for listening to the Hot Talk podcast. You can find us at nsunews.com, Spotify, or follow our social media pages at TNE News on Instagram and Twitter, and the Northeastern on Facebook for the latest NSU news.
Hey NSU students, do you need more college support? TRIO SSS has got you covered. From offering academic advising, financial aid and career major counseling, tutoring, computer training, and more, student support services are here for you in every situation. TRIO SSS helps with academic and non-academic support that is brought through specially made services. Faculty empower students to reach their academic goals. See if you qualify for TRIO at nsuok.edu/TRIO/student support services. You can visit TRIO at the Administration Building at 601 North Grand Avenue in Tahlequah. For more information about TRIO, visit their Instagram at NSUOKSSS, Facebook at Northeastern State TRIO Student Support Services, or call 918-444-3035.